Yo, family, how you doing? It's your brother, Byron D's. Peace to you, peace to your home, peace to your family, peace to your community, peace to your ancestry, peace to my community, peace to my ancestry, and peace to the nation that you, I, and they are building. Peace also to the God of forces, the great spirit above, the mother below. This is Mtima Radi, everybody. So lightning. So here's the thing. Having been a fan of various YouTube personalities and YouTube influences, black influences, for the last 4 or 5 years, I've noticed that many of these influences, especially the ones that have money, they will be very critical of the Democratic Party. I understand where their criticisms come from, and they are warranted. But these same people say very little about the Republican Party. Now, when it comes to a person who I think is probably a very strong economic leader, such as Boyce Watkins, it shocks me sometimes that he doesn't speak as forthrightly about the Republican Party as needs to be. Mainly because Dr. Watkins, I think, tries to come off as a person who really is detached politically, where it's just the economics. But look, he has a master's in economics. So understanding that when he got his master's in economics, the dominant economic philosophy that was going through the country and the world even was neoliberalism, and is neoliberalism to this very day. Neoliberalism is the other side of neoconservative or neoconservatism. And basically what neoliberalism is about is free markets, the stock market as an indicator of economic health, investments as the indicator of economic progress and economic potential. A realization, now this is all theory, by the way, a realization that Main Street is dependent on Wall Street, and Wall Street is the barometer for Main Street. Now, none of this is really true. All of this stuff was developed back after World War II to start turning back the tide of the New Deal. But neoliberalism, in essence, is a way for big businesses to get bigger, to establish footholds, to capture market shares, and to hammer those market shares into place. There's other elements of neoliberalism which are not really talked about, which, if you research something called, what the heck is the name of that thing? I can't even remember the name of it. But it's basically where you're on the hook to do work for somebody else for a set period of time. And usually I know you might be like, well, wait a minute, that just sounds like a contract. But it's not. They use these things in Hollywood all the time. That's why I'm surprised I'm blanking on it. But it's a standard form of operation. In fact, oh my God, I can't believe. I think it's called a limited lifetime service contract, if memory serves me correctly, which they're not usually that limited. Basically, you're agreeing to do all this work for somebody and give them a major portion of your earnings, considering that you expect to be earning, let's say, $2 million a year, $3 million a year, and you're going to give to the person 90% of that. Now, you and I might look and go, yeah, no, there's no heckin' way. But if you come from an impoverished background, think about it. If someone comes to you with a contract and says, you're going to be making $5 million, all I want is 70%, you are probably going to be like, yeah, okay, take it. I don't care. Let's do this. Obviously, people like Jermaine Dupri back in the 90s became famous because he was absolutely ripping people off. He would tell them that he was only going to take 60, 70%, and he was actually taking 98, 99%. Which, by the way, that's why and I found this out about 3 or 4 years back. That's why today there is a stigma around a lot of Jewish people who operate in the entertainment business, because apparently, customarily for them, they're not supposed to take more than 10 or 20%, I think. And it's literally written in their bylaws that they're not supposed to do that, or else that's considered usurious, and it's not good, and it's bad, and blah, blah, blah. But some of them, way overdo that, 50, 60, 70%. And so that's where some of the stigma comes from. And then to kind of sidestep the negativity, the energies that gather from that, they do certain things to get rid of that. That ain't going to hold for long. But anyway. So the reason why I'm doing this video, though, is because having followed Dr. Boyce Watkins for so long, and other people such as him, but more so him, because I think he more than anybody has a mentality for economics that is unrivaled so far. I mean, there's other people who have pieces of it, but he's got more of a complete vision, mainly because he's a true believer in the economic realities that are presented to him. He doesn't see the limitations of it, which is fine. I understand that. But we are entering a phase in this country, and black people need to really be aware of this. We are entering this phase where white people are becoming very much aware that they are about to be a minority in this country, and the media, yes, the media. Now, people like to say, oh, it's the mainstream media. No, this isn't the mainstream media. This is a current that has developed alongside the mainstream media and has pulled the mainstream media to it. Now, how do I know this? Because I've been reading about these people for the last 15, 20 years. Give me 1 second, family. I'm back. When Fox News was first put on air back in, it was 96 or 97. I think it was 97. It was considered an aberration that, people looked at it as, wow, that's not even news. Wow, that's not going to last long. And it blew up. It blew up and became huge. Why did it become huge? Because you had an entrenched network of right-wing propagandist radio stations and some television stations. Most of the television stations were Christian kind of stations. But you had this entrenched network of radio stations, which had been preparing the ground for before that, by the way, this is 1997, for the previous 15 years. For the previous 15 years. You had a group of business people, and really for a little bit longer than 15 years, it went to the late 70s. You had a group of business people in the white community in the early part of the 70s saying they needed to develop a strategy to prevent what happened in the 60s from happening again. And they wrote something called the Powell Memo, where they laid out what they needed to do in order to stop democracy in this country from rearing its ugly head again. And they talked about capturing the universities, capturing the media, and they went about doing that. When Ronald Reagan came in, Ronald Reagan instituted a number of different laws and rulings and things like that that would cripple the media, that would allow for opinion to rule over fact, including in his second term, he got rid of the fairness doctrine, which said if you're going to have one person on that has this type of stance, you got to have on the other person that has that type of stance. No, he got rid of that. Now you may say, well, wait a minute. If I'm talking about something with Jewish people in the Holocaust, that tells me that I have to have a Nazi on? No, the fairness doctrine was not that broad and that stupid. What it did say was if you were going to talk about something where there was a bit of controversy, and when I say controversy, I don't mean how we mean it today. Like, I just disagree with you because I disagree with you. No, I mean controversy in reality. Like, okay, scientists do have disputes with this. Okay, there are disputes with whatever we're talking about. And the disputes are based on facts, not people's feelings, not people getting paid money by corporations. These were real, verifiable, factual differences. You have to have a person on from each side to talk about it. They got rid of that. Now you may say, oh, that's not going to really affect things that much.